boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Long as I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. Sports coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like Elf. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube Live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your chain for the championship. Bucking on town, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy and you probably smell the crooked referees on Roger Goodell. Yeah, money like this and I'm a who that. Every day I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
Welcome. You're now rocking with the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys. We have intense, entertaining, educating, and enlightening sport talk from your favorite sports fam. What's popping? Shout out to the fam. Appreciate y'all being in this late edition of the stream. Much love to the fam. Won't hold you guys for very long on this Monday stream as we get ready to carry on in. So shout out to the fam. Thank y'all. Hope y'all had a fantastic and productive weekend. As we move into the new week, hope you have a lot of great things shaking in the new week. This one right here speaks to the NFL, the Saints NFL power rankings. We covered some of this on the previous stream, but I just thought it was good to kind of go over some of the rankings and how they have it situated, man, dealing with the Saints. Here's a little audio from what they believe will happen in the upcoming rankings. Here we go.
Year on offense and increased pressure on the defense to perform at a high level. 18, New Orleans Saints. In light of the uncertainty surrounding Alvin Kamara and his legal issues, the Saints made a strategic move by selecting TCU running back Kendre Miller in the third round to bolster their running game, providing agility, vision, and a youthful jolt to a team that ranked in the bottom half of the league in yards per carry last season. 17, New England.
All right, so that's they said that the Saints are going to be ranked 18, the Patriots are going to be 17. And I just think and I know why this is going on. This is happening, because a lot of people simply do not believe in Dennis Allen and what he's doing. And to many reasons, to be fair with you, Dennis Allen hadn't really given us anything to believe in. So the Saints are, we just diehards and we want the most positive effect for the team moving forward. We want the best possible outcome. And I think that's why the team is being ranked down on and considered like a 18th ranked team, and the Patriots are considered a better team than the Saints. They're better coached than the Saints, but in terms of talent, one could argue that. Anyway, this is what the ranking system look like that they're going off, and this is an NFL.com ranking. They got Arizona at number 32. As you can see, 31 is the Houston Texans. 30 is the Washington Commanders. Tampa Bay is 29th. I don't know how they that high. The Colts are 28th. They should be a little lower too. The Broncos are considered 27th in the ranking, despite the addition of Sean Payton and Russell Wilson. They have a lot of stuff going on. All they needed was a better offensive system to work with Russell Wilson, and you'll see a big difference in Denver. They rank way too low. The Chicago Bears sitting at 26. A lot of people quite yet don't believe in them. Carolina's at 25 with that young quarterback there. Tennessee is ranked 24th. The 27th ranked 23rd team is Atlanta. As you can see right here, as we kind of go over some of our foes, just read some of their stuff. Carolina, they're saying at 25. Panthers finally got their man after several years in QB wilderness that featured multiple highly publicized swings and misses. Carolina got the fresh start it wanted with Bryce Young. Concerns about his size and durability of the Alabama star are not to be dismissed, but there are plenty of reasons to believe Carolina just imported a franchise shifting player at the game's most important position with the number 1 overall pick. Young won't be able to do it alone. Of course, the Panthers hope they can fill the hole left by DJ Moore, sent to Chicago in the trade that ultimately allowed them to land Young, with Ole Miss wideout Jonathan Mingo selected with the 8th pick of the 2nd round. If Young can make quick strides as a rookie, there's no reason why the Panthers can't contend in a wide open NFC South. Is it really that wide open? A lot of people see it as a 3-team race in the South between the Saints, Panthers, and Falcons. It most certainly would be interesting. 24th is Tennessee, and then there's Atlanta at 23rd. And they said, let's start positive. Thing about Bijan Robinson is an enormous talent with the ability to become an immediate superstar in 23. Problem is, anything less than instant greatness will make you wonder if the Falcons made the wrong decision with the 8th overall pick. Atlanta already has a excellent young backfield presence in 1,000-yard rusher Tyler Algieri. And while Falcons coach Arthur Smith contended on Thursday night that Robinson is a lot more than a running back, the University of Texas star is not an elite edge rusher, franchise quarterback, or starting caliber player at receiver, cornerback, all bigger needs for Atlanta entering. And this is right here, as they say, entering the draft. So let's see how it plays out. So, they mentioned him as 23rd there, going into the season. Then you take a look at the rest of the teams. The Raiders are ranked higher at 22nd. 21 is the Browns. The Rams are 20th. The Pack is 19th. The Saints are 18th. And you just went over the breakdown talking about Alvin Kamara and the addition of Kendre Miller along with Jamal Williams. And the previous rank for the Saints was 22. All the Saints right here, are they ranked a little bit too low for you guys? Comment in, let me know in the in the chat what you guys think about this 18 ranking. Is it fair? A lot of people see the Saints as middle of the pack, and I guess a lot of pressure is not on the Saints to show anything from a league-wide perspective. Of course, the family base wants the Saints. A lot of pressure is on Dennis Allen to right the wrongs of for the previous year when they went backwards. And to finish off the list, the Patriots are 17th ranked, Minnesota 16th. Pittsburgh is 15th ranked on this list. Boy, they got them higher. The Giants sit up there at 14, Chargers at 13, 12th is Seattle. Can they redo what they did? The Detroit Lions are at 11. Dolphins are a top 10 team in the ranking. The Jets are number 9. Jacksonville at 8. Baltimore at 7. 6 is Dallas. A lot of Dallas people will be happy to hear that. San Francisco sits at 5. 4 is Buffalo. 3 is Cincinnati and Eagles. And then Kansas City sit on top of that thing. So Saints are pretty much sitting at 18th. And I think they're better than several of these teams. But this is only on paper. The Saints have an experienced offense, depending on what Derek Carr, and from a historical standpoint, he's picked up multiple systems offensive-wise during his time with the Raiders. When they would just fire these coordinators, he would pick up these systems and have good success. So if that is definitely the acclimation process, a very fast acclimation process into a wide open Saints QB-friendly system, should help him really take it to the next level in terms of using the weapons the Saints currently have on the team. So are they discounting the Saints? Because I really do think that the Saints will be led by their offense, not the defense. The defense most certainly has its share of issues, in terms of the defensive line. 3 new starters on the defensive line with Cam. Then you're looking at the linebacker depth. If something happens to Pete Werner, God forbid, or even Demario Davis, what happens there? So the defense plus all the turnover with the defensive coaches that have come on, defensive line coach, the secondary coach, new defensive coordinator, how do they fit into it? So we'll be looking at maybe perhaps a little learning curve for the Saints defense, not so much as Demario or Cam or Tyrann Mathieu or Lattimore, but the rest of them, everybody got to get on the same ship. So I think Atlanta is probably, the offense is probably going to be the thing that leads the Saints against in terms of the units through the season. Everybody must improve though. But 18th, what do you guys think about this ranking with that? Just want to touch on that once again. Let's move on to the next story here, right here by the Saints Wire. Shout out to the Saints, Brother Ross on the scoop. Who will be the next great Saints edge rusher not named Cam Jordan? Great question. Aside from the franchise sack leader, only 2 Saints defenders have amassed 10 or more sacks in the season since 2011. The pillar of the Saints' success when it comes to getting to the quarterback has undeniably been 13th year veteran Cam Jordan. Franchise sack leader, 115 and a half sacks, has led New Orleans in the category in 9 of the last 11 years. Only 2 players have either topped him in single rush season or even so much as double-digit sacks. Former Saints Ed Rusher, Junior Gillette, and Trey Hendrickson. In addition, 2013 is the only season in 04 since 04 in which 2 New Orleans Saints defenders pile up double-digit sacks in the same year, those being Jordan with 12 and a half and Junior Gillette had 12. It took nearly a decade, that's right, a decade for it to happen, and has now been a decade since. So the Saints have been drafting guys at the position. Marcus Davenport, they drafted Peyton Turner. They have espoused and thrown out depth the picks at the defensive end position. It just hadn't panned out. We even looked at undrafted guys and signed some veterans. It just didn't work out. So what's the answer? Last time a Saints defender not named Cam Jordan finished the season with 10 or more quarterback takedowns was not terribly long ago. It was in 2020. Hendrickson had 13 and a half. So from 2014 to 2020, Jordan was all by his lonesome as the only player reaching double digits. Could 2023 finally bring a new name to the list? Let's see who he has here. The prime candidate on the edge. The team's prime candidates for this milestone will be those who take the majority of their snaps at the defensive end position. Through defensive tackles can certainly get home. Sheldon Rankins had 8 back in 2018, while the interior defenders should not be ignored. The edge is where NFL pressure is most common. So defensive ends like Carl Granderson, Peyton Turner, and Isaiah Foskey will garner the most consideration. Is Foskey the key? Of them, Foskey presents the most intrigue as a rookie. No one knows who he is as an NFL player yet, as is the case for all rookies, but his collegiate production jumps off the page. As Notre Dame's career sack leader with 26 and a half, Foskey has the potential to continue his 2-year streak of double-digit sacks as he enters the league. However, there have only been 2 non-first-round defensive players to reach 10 or more sacks their rookie seasons in the last 20 years. Chicago Bear defensive end Mark Anderson piled on 12 in his inaugural year in 06. And in 2019, Las Vegas Raiders pass rusher Max Crosby totaled in 10 in his first season. So the odds are long for Foskey to start. He will be in a heavy rotation of rushers his first season. Even if Foskey's not the next player to hit that milestone, his future outlook is very promising. He may be the Saints defender to end up reaching it most often of the present group. Yeah, a lot of stuff could be said about Foskey. Athleticism, what he brings to the table. He chases people down, very intelligent. And like we talked about before, he's the closest guy that I've seen personally from this past draft that mirrors or looks like Cam Jordan. So shout out to Dennis Allen and Dennis and Mickey Loomis, and also Jeff Ireland for president, for these guys, for what they were allowed to do. They came in here and they found a guy that mirrors Cam, and they can put him there. And he'll be a part of it. I don't think he'll start right away, but you never know. We'll see. All right. So anyway, what's next? Will it be Peyton's place? So as we keep it going, the Saints will love for former first-round pick Turner to be the next double-digit sack guy on the team. They drafted him with a premium draft selection back in 21, and seeing the investment payoff would be massive for the Saints at its future at the position. Turner is a remarkably talented player with some impressive tools, but stand out in the field has been a challenge for him. Has appeared in 13 of 34 possible regular season games. 13 of 34, fam. 13 of 34. Regular season games since 21, but when he has played, he's been disruptive and productive. He tallied 2 sacks against the Raiders in 2022, had an impressive game against Carolina as a rookie, and even blocked the field goal to seal the last season's opener against the Atlanta Falcons. So is it Peyton's place? Well, if you look at it, you would think off the bat that the first round draft pick, usually the guy that has the first round draft pick, he's coming into his 3rd year. So at some point you will want to look at, you want to look at him and say to yourself, hey man, could this guy possibly be the answer to what's going on here. Could he be the guy? Well, he's a first rounder. So you would have to like say, okay, this is a first rounder. We got to see if it justifies the first round grade. Now, if he fails, he fails. Maybe he can fall to a situational pass rush grade. But yes, his durability is a major concern for the Saints heading into the season. But staying available is what Turner will need to do first and foremost if he wants to turn the corner. The Saints have seen it before. Hendrickson took until his fourth season. This is good comparison. Before he finally turned the corner in New Orleans, he latched on to 4.5 sacks in 3 years before exploding onto the scene with 13.5 his contract year. If Turner were to have a similar trajectory, New Orleans would be in a great spot at the position. This is true. And there was the talk about Trey Hendrickson because Trey Hendrickson was hurt every last one of those years, and then he turned it up on the fourth year. And the Saints opted to kind of just bank on Davenport as opposed to, look at Trey Hendrickson. But Trey Hendrickson has played well with Cincinnati, man. So, hindsight is 2020, man. I would love to have him back here, but it is what it is. All right, could Carl Granderson grind out 10 sacks? He had 5.5 last year. The defender has shown the most promise in notching double-digit sacks is Granderson, coming into the league as an undrafted free agent. Players can often be overlooked, but this is far from the case in New Orleans, which is its impressive track record in UDFA player acquisitions. The former Wyoming Cowboy had 3 key elements going his way that could put him in position for 10 or more sacks as immediate as 2023, the first of which is how often he's likely to be on the field. Granderson has begun earning starts over former first rounder Davenport toward the end of last year. That shows the Saints believe in his talents. He earned those starts by showcasing not only his producing as a pass rusher, but as a run defender as well. He established himself as a 3-down end. That is a massive piece of the puzzle, maximizing snaps and therefore opportunity. Second, Granderson showed the pace at which he could play when he was earning all those starts at the end of the year. Over the final 4 games of the season, he totaled 3 sacks, averaging that per game production out of 17 puts him in the range of 12.5 for 13. That means he would have some wiggle room for a late start or even a sackless couple of games. Finally, Granderson is in a contract year. While playing in the NFL is about much more than money for players across the league, it sure doesn't hurt. The former undrafted free agent would be in place to surpass the earnings of the recent first-round picks with a massive season in 23 to add to an impressive end to his previous campaign. So these are all of the lists of guys. Carl Granderson is there. And, of course, right now you would say Carl Granderson is probably the best of the opposite ends, but he is an undrafted guy. So the Saints have 3 different guys here that you could talk about. All athletic guys, big ends, all of them 6'5", 6'6", around there. And even in terms of undrafted first round, second round, and undrafted guys from different levels. But Carl Granderson, with the years that he's been in the league, is definitely more seasoned than the rest of those guys. But we'll see what the Saints do going into the year. Can Carl Granderson be a guy the Saints can count on if Peyton Turner or Isaiah Foskey? I doubt Foskey, but he'll need some time to kind of grind out. But are any one of these guys going to help Cam this year? We'll see. All right, let's move on to the next article right here. The Saints and Chargers to hold joint practice in August. That's right. This is what we know now. We know that the 2 more teams will hold joint practices this summer. Multiple reports, the Chargers head coach Brandon Staley confirmed in his Monday press conference that Los Angeles will have 2 joint practices with the Saints in August. The Chargers and the Saints will play in the second week of the preseason at SoFi Stadium, with the 2 practices taking place the week before the game. The session should be a good opportunity for both franchises, as New Orleans and LA have undergone some significant offensive changes this season. While the Saints have the same core of offensive staff, they signed Derek Carr to take over at the quarterback position. The Chargers have a new coordinator in Kellen Moore, who will try to unlock more consistency from a unit that has one of the league's most talented young QBs. That'll be an interesting preseason matchup between the 2 teams. So very interesting. More news. Saints, shout out to the wire with this one. Saints-Rams Week 16 matchup on Thursday Night Football could get flexed. NFL's Thursday night flex schedule and approval means the Saints fans or family members will have to keep an eye on things for their game up against the Rams in Week 16. Saints family members may want to keep a close eye on any travel they book for December at the Spring League meeting in Minneapolis, The NFL has approval to move forward with a Thursday night flex scheduling. The Week 16 Saints versus Ram game in LA will be one of those matchups that could be affected. New Orleans was one of several teams who opposed the flex scheduling, as 2 teams abstained from voting and did not get the necessary amount of 24 votes to go forward. This time around, the league got the 2 votes it needed to pass the proposition. Coincidentally, the Saints got 2 Thursday night football games this year. Per the approval, this means the league could swap a Sunday game into Thursday slot. It would need a 20-day notice and affects all of the matchups from weeks 13 to 17. No club will be required by virtue of flex scheduling to switch from Sunday afternoon to Thursday night or more than one occasion, or to play more than 2 games on Thursday night in any total or any season. So if you're planning to go to the Rams game, Saints and Rams game on the 21st, you're supposed to get a fairly advanced notice if the NFL plans to swap a more interesting game to that slot, which would move that matchup to December the 24th. That's not exactly ideal if you're planning to be home for Christmas. It'll also mean New Orleans will lose a prime time game. We'll see how this goes. So, yeah, we're going to keep an eye out on that for that matchup. That'll be interesting as we travel out to LA to take on the Rams. And anytime we go out there to kind of deal with the Rams and smash them down is always a positive in my book. Final story before we jet. NFL owners passed proposal to allow teams to have third QB active on game days without using roster spot. And I think this is a terrific idea that they ultimately decided to do. NFL has moved to avoid another quarterback debacle like the one that plagued the Niners in last year's NFC Championship game. NFL owners approved a bylaw proposal on Monday at the Spring League meeting, allowing clubs to dress a third QB without using an active roster spot on game days. NFL Network's insider Ian Rappaport and Tom Pelissero reported, per sources informed of the decision. The league cited on Monday, quote, integrity of the game, end quote, as the chief reason for the rule change. Integrity of the game. They said that for everything. The league previously had a third quarterback rule in effect from 91 to 2010 before doing away with the option. Now it's back. The emergency quarterback rule came to the forefront this offseason after the Niners, already riddled with signal caller injuries, saw starter Brock Purdy injured his elbow on the first series of the title game against the Eagles. Backup Josh Johnson sustained a concussion in the third quarter that forced Purdy to re-enter the contest, but the quarterback couldn't do more than toss 2 short passes. The quandary left the Niners offense dead in the water. Eagles ran away with the conference title. With the clubs now allowed to dress an emergency QB, the hope is viewers will avoid watching such a disaster again. And this is the full language of the supposed bylaw, that 1 hour and 30 minutes prior to kickoff, each club is required to establish its active list for the game by notifying the referee of the players in its inactive list for that game. Each club also designate 1 emergency third quarterback from its 53-player inactive list, i.e. elevated players are not eligible for designation, who will be eligible to be activated during the game if the club's first 2 quarterbacks on its game day active list are not able to participate in game due to injury or disqualification. They're saying this activation cannot be a result of a head coach in-game decision to remove a player from the game due to performance or conduct. If either the injured quarterbacks is cleared by the medical staff to return to play, the emergency third quarterback must be removed from the game, and it is not permitted to continue to play quarterback or any other position, but eligible to return to the game to play quarterback if another emergency third quarterback situation arises. A club is not eligible to use these procedures if it carries 2 quarterbacks on its game day active list. So if you carry 2, not good for you, but 3, you carry 2, it could help you. But if you carry 3, no. This is only for guys that only carry 2. So I don't think that's a bad rule to go through either after, that situation occurred. So anyway, let's do a quick recap of the show we talked about when we covered some of the rankings dealing with the Saints early on. The 18th, 18 ranking, have the Saints situated at 18th. I think really, truly, and like we're saying, on paper right now, you can only use your imagination. I've been watching a lot of tape on Carr and a lot of the players that we have that we're bringing on, and I can only use my imagination to kind of fit those guys into the system. that we have. And what Derek Carr brings to the system, and I've said this before, his leadership and his real easy, makes it really, really easy getting the ball downfield. Great touch on the football, throws a real feathery ball, and drops it right over into the hands of the receiver. And he does it time at just throws one of the most beautiful deep balls that you could possibly see. And it's no effort. It's like throwing a 10-yard pass or a 15-yard pass. That's how he makes it look on tape. So we would love to see him in reintroducing explosive plays back to the Saints offense. We lacked that last year. And if this plays right, and if the Saints can, really strike something here, if this plays right, this could really have a big effect on the Saints offense. They were talking about some of the yardage that he could pile up. He can go over 4,000 yards this year and north of 25 touchdowns if it all works out. If he hits over 4,000, he can be up near 30 touchdowns on the season with the type of offense that he has. If he can stay healthy, the Saints can protect him and give him the running game. The defense is stiff, and they really don't have to be a top 10 unit to do this. But if they are, it'd be more the merrier. But if we can just get fair play, solid play out the rest of the units, and the offense take it where we see they can take it, with Jamal Williams and Kendre Miller, along with Elvin Kamara, Mike Thomas healthy, Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, Foster Moreau, Taysom Hill, all these other fantastic players. James Washington was added to the mix, all of our undrafted guys. So if the Saints can hold on, man, and find some kind of way to make this work, could you understand the possibilities of what the Saints offense could look like? It can look a lot better than the 18th crap that as a team that they're saying. And really, I really do deep down inside think that our adversaries, both Atlanta and the Carolina Panthers, could really, we could have a separation there, because I do feel like both of these younger teams will have a bit of a learning curve to kind of figure out what they need to do here. They still got young signal callers at the position, the most important position. The big difference with the Saints is they have a 10-year veteran on top of the team that fits what they're doing in terms of getting the ball down the field. I don't think the NFC South is as wide open as we think it is, but once again, a lot of people kind of compact their optimism because of the head coach of the team. So we'll see if he can flip the switch here, and simply see if his method works for what the Saints are trying to do. So he can get the offense churning on its own, and he operates the defense and keep an eye on his special teams. Maybe there can be something positive. Only time will tell, man. Right now it's all paper, and we still got a while before we get to where football matters. So anyway, with that, we'll recap it. Power rankings, we went over that. We also talked about who will be the next great Saints edge rusher. Shout out to Ross with the great article right here. Saints Chargers holding joint practices in August before the preseason. We talked about the Saints and Rams week 16 matchup getting flexed. And of course, a great decision by the NFL owners to have that third QB active on game day. That was a good call right there, to be honest with you. So anyway, with that being said, I'm gonna get out on that. Listen, thank all of you guys for joining me for this episode of the show. Please feel free to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the share button, share the Sports Coma on your social media feed. We up in this thing. Also feel free to, check out our sponsors and in the description section below. Also check out the rest of our family of channels. Subscribe to each and every last one of them if you hadn't already done so, and to keep up with the rest of the content. So with that being said, I'm gonna get out on that. I appreciate y'all for chiming in. I'll be back on Tuesday for our Patreon family members. We'll, study some more film. We'll talk about some more Saints related topics on our TSC Q&A live stream on Patreon. If you want to be a part of that, feel free to join our YouTube page, or simply go to patreon.com/the Pro Media Network. Once again, that's patreon.com/the Pro Media Network. Much love to the fam, and I'm holla at y'all on the flip side. Peace, and who dat?
Yeah. Boogie Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Long as I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. Sports coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, 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 Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like Elf. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube Live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your shame for the championship. Bucking on town, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy and you probably smell the crooked referees on Roger Goodell. Yeah, fucking like this and I'm a who that. Every day I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, 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 Boogie like this and I'm a who that. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
WhoThatDaily.com. That's right, WhoThatDaily.com. Your one-stop shop for everything New Orleans Saints, New Orleans Pelicans, LSU Tigers, even the top flight boxing news. So if you're a Who That and you're looking for a place to stay up on your team, WhoThatDaily.com is your site. The Who That Daily